Ken, or Elsa and Evan, shoes. I want to make little boots for Barbie that go, I don't know, about up to here. And then for Ken, I'd like to make them pretty short. So I want to make them like a casual, everyday, it's like a sneaker-ish boot. Barbie, I want to make her something that she could walk in the snow in. I'm going to use oak tag, and I'm going to use this, it's like a stretchy material. I was a hairstylist for a long time, and I had my own hair salon that I shut down this year because of the pandemic. And so I have this material laying around, so I'm going to use it to try to make shoes for both my Barbie and my Ken. So hopefully this is helpful to whoever's watching out there, and this is my attempt to make shoes. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trace the feet. So I'm going to take one of Barbie's feet and I'm going to trace. Use the edge of the paper so that I don't waste too much material. Let's see. Gonna curve that and just make sure her foot still fits in it. She needs it a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it just a smidge bigger. There we go. So, you guys could switch. So I'm going to trace him over here. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, just so that, there we go, that should work. Maybe just a smidge more in his toe. I don't know if anyone out there remembers, but remember when you were little, I don't know, I'm a kid of the late 80s, early 90s, and your mom or your dad or whoever would put their thumb on the toe to make sure that your feet, you know, there was enough room, but there wasn't, you know, too much room in your shoe. That's what I feel like I'm doing at the moment, is measuring to see where their toes fall. So that looks about right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it. So I'm going to do Barbie and Ken. I've decided to add felt into this project because felt tends to stand up and mold more easily to certain things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the felt as like my base, and then I'm going to wrap the felt in the material. Not sure how I'm going to do this. I am going to use a glue gun. So my first thing is what I did was I cut a small piece of felt, and then I took this piece that I traced from here and I cut it out with the felt. I made it so that there are straps here, because what I want to do is, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue here and I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to kind of mold this around the edge like so, with this part attached, to make sure that Ken's foot will fit into this little pocket. So that's going to be my first attempt at this. Do I know if it'll work? Nope. So my glue gun is finally warm. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to glue the circular piece to the top of that circular piece. So I'm just going to take a tiny little dab, tiniest dab of glue, and I'm going to bond it to the top very carefully. It would help if I didn't just glue this to the paper, but that's okay, I'll cut that out. Okay, cut that part away. Alright, so next part is going to be gluing the sides. So I'm going to glue this side first. Littlest bit. You don't need much. It's a low setting. Very low setting. So I just kind of follow the line, if that makes any sense. So because I cut it on a curve, I kind of follow the line around. Do I know if this is going to work? Nope. Alright. Next, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to glue it right here. Just going to hold a little bit. I'm going to glue it right here. Be very careful if you're using a glue gun, because glue guns get really hot and can burn you, and I have burnt myself before. Okay, next part. Just a little. Okay, so I'm going to attach this little bit here. Like so. So I'm just following the line. But I didn't follow it all the way to the edge because I want to use that flap to go under it. I'll show you what I mean when it dries, which should be any second now. It's getting there. It's getting there. So I'm going to take this flap right here and I'm gonna fold it underneath like so, okay? Okay, go and fold that right there. Alright, that should be just about dry enough. Just make sure inside, yep. Okay, so we're just gonna slide his foot in. Now, in doing this, I could see that his foot just reaches the back, so that's good, and it fits, so fits right in. So this is a good gauge. So then, what I want to do next is make a tongue. So, gonna cut a piece here. I'm gonna glue it inside. Actually, I should probably, yeah. So, the littlest bit, you don't need much. This felt does like to stick to hot glue. So just a little bit right there. Hope everyone could see what I'm doing. So I've just glued this tongue piece to the little slipper piece. Now it looks not neat. I really have only done this once before, so I don't really know what I'm doing, but I mean, hey, I'm bringing you through my process. So the next thing I want to do is I want to create a piece for his sides. So, oops. So I'm going to cut another piece, like so. Now that's obviously too high, so I'm going to cut that in half because I could use that for the other side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim that down further. Just a little bit more. There we go. So then what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to curve this edge a bit, and this will ultimately be where the shoelaces come together. Yeah, so I'm just going to curve that a little bit. So I'll show you what I do. So I'm literally just taking the littlest bit here and the littlest bit there. And I'm going to glue to the back of this right there, just like so. So instead of pre-covering these shoes like I just said I was going to do, I decided to show you how I'm going to cover it with the black fabric. I just doubled what I did with one foot with the other foot. So he has two little matching booties. And then these were the pieces that are going to go around. So I'm going to start with these little booties, or the parts that wrap around. But before I do that, I'm going to cut this nice piece off because I want to use that in a different part of the boot, possibly. So just going to quickly cut. Because I want a lot of room on either side, I think I'm going to just, by eye, or eyeballing it, just going to cut a piece like that. And make sure that I don't cut too much. So, yep, like that. And I'm gonna cut up this way, like so. With this piece, same thing, just use that. Okay, cool. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue these pieces. I'm going to use the low heat, and I'm going to just very, very lightly apply some glue here, and I'm going to fold over. So I glued all of that fabric onto the shoe. So that felted part, I just put it over the tongue, and alright, so my camera turned off before I knew it was happening. So what I did was I covered the slipper part. I also covered the part that goes around, and what I did was I glued the piece around to the felt. In gluing this piece underneath, what I did was I took one of these that fit the bottom and I colored it black. Then I realized that it wasn't quite big enough to cover the space. So what I did was I colored just a big area and I glued this part, or this shoe, to the area. Then I cut around that so that I'd have a perfect covering all the way through the bottom. So right now, as of now, his foot will fit into the shoe, or at least it should. It should fit into the shoe. Yes, it fits. Okay, so his shoe fits. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the shoelace in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in from the outside and I'm just going to guesstimate where the hole should go. And I'm going to pull through the shorter string. Okay? And I'm going to leave that loose. I'm then going to rethread the other side. There we go. Okay. Then I'm going to do that same thing over here. I'm going to go in kind of low and I'm going to poke through with the needle. Takes a little pushing, but you could do it. And then I'm pulling the other part. Now, instead of letting that part go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off where I think that it should go. So next part I'm going to put about here. So I'm going to make a second hole. It's going to take a bit with the fabric and with the felt, but with a little muscle you'll get it through. And if you need help with pushing, you could take your thimble and you could just use it to kind of push it. Because sometimes with the felt it's very, very hard to get through. Okay, so here we go, there's the next piece. So then I'm gonna go through again. Okay, I'm gonna push through with the thimble. There it goes. Okay. Just takes a little bit of a little muscle, but you could do it. And then I'm going to go through one more time, right through about here. Yeah, that looks, well, maybe a smidge higher. About here. Okay. All right, 3 times. Just about to where it looks right. And where I know that we could probably seal the shoe. So next I'm going to thread the other side. All right. And I'm gonna go in through the opposite ways. That wasn't as difficult, but I think I just went through the fabric, which is totally fine too if you could do that, you know. Alright, so I'm going to put that through there, and that just went through the fabric, so that was lucky for me. And And then we have one more piece that I'm gonna match with this side that I'm gonna push right through here, okay? Now, I'm gonna pull these laces a little. You don't want it to be too tight either because you want his foot to be able to get in. So you want to have like a pretty good, you want to have good symmetry and alright, so we got that. Just tug it a little bit and that looks pretty close. Don't want it to be too tight. Don't want it to be too loose either. Okay, so that looks to be about right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knot it. More than likely, I will probably never take this knot out. So I'd like to make it look as good as possible because I plan on only sliding his foot in and out of this. Okay. So that looks about right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the lace, and there that is. His foot should fit right inside, which it does, and it looks cute. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take this piece that was part of the edge and I'm going to glue it around. So I'm going to tuck these laces in. Okay. And I'm going to see how like this part looks unfinished. That's what this part is for. This part is to finish it all off. So I'm just going to take my glue gun and I'm going to glue it around the edges. And I'm going to make the part that they come together in the back. I'm going to start at the front because this is the part that I really want to cover. So just going to position that over the spot that I want to see it at. Being careful not to burn myself with the hot glue. Easier said than done. I mean, thankfully I'm not burning myself because it's on a low temperature, but it can go wrong very quickly. Okay. Alright, next part. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue along this thing very carefully. Alright. And I'm going to take it and I'm just going to gently stretch it and kind of push it where it needs to go with the glue. Okay? Very gently. Now along the back, and now I'm probably going to bring the other side over like so. So what I want to do is, I think I'm going to just cut it right about here, okay? So that when I wrap it around, it will enclose in the back. It's not perfect, but this is only my second attempt at doing this particular shoe and my second attempt at doing shoes altogether, so you do what you can with what you have. Okay, so now I'm just going to close this so that it looks finished, and on this side I'm going to do the same, where I'm going to gently, lightly put some glue, and I'm gonna attach it all the way around. And on the back, right here, just gonna do a teeny tiny tab. Oh, there we go. Wipe some of that out. Okay. And I'm gonna close that part in. Okay. And that's the completed shoe. I made one yesterday as well. Yesterday's came out just a smidge bigger, but that's okay, nobody's perfectly symmetrical. So that's today's shoe, that's yesterday's shoe. I think I'm going to snip the lace just a little bit more. There we go. So he's got a little pair of shoes. So he's got one, goes here, and one goes here. They look more like big puffy slippers, but that's the best I could do at the moment. Hopefully you enjoyed that part of this video. Barbie's turn to get some new shoes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this felt that I have, and I'm going to make two of these patterns. So I'm just going to eyeball it with the felt. Actually, let me just see if this will work. This actually might work. So I'm just going to kind of double it up so that hopefully I only have to do this once. Okay, so should do it. Let me just make sure that they fit on her feet. There we go, there's one. And the other. Yep, they will fit. Okay, so these will fit perfect. Alright, I'll put those off to the side because I might use the scrap fabric for later. I usually, any fabric scraps that I have, I either use it for stuffing or I use it for other projects. So don't waste your scraps, you know, try to reuse them again. So the next thing I want to do is I want to make the toe and tongue part, which basically I need for the piece to be able to have the tongue and then the part on either side, but I'm going to do it in reverse to what I did with Ken. It's not going to make any sense. I'll just show you what I'm thinking. Okay, so let's just make sure first off that this fits around, and it does. Okay, so her toe isn't very, just eyeballing this, her toe isn't big, so the tongue doesn't have to be big. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim here, and I'm gonna trim here, right here, right here. Let's see. It might be a little bit too long. So you want these to be about the same, okay? And her little toe is going to go here, and this part is going to act as the tongue to these boots. So then this part is going to wrap around the sides and the back. So in order to make this a boot, I need it to make the boot shape. So I'm going to take the tongue and I'm going to put it forward, okay? And then I'm going to take these pieces and I'm going to cut the boot. So basically, I'm going to cut it down, and then I'm going to make the boot without cutting the tongue. Don't cut the tongue. That's an important piece. Okay, so you see how it made a boot shape? So that boot shape is now going to fit on Barbie, like so. And this boot piece, hold on. Did I just mess that up? I might have messed it up. No, I think it should be okay because I'm going to wrap it with other fabric. So this is the desired shape you're going for. I want to make them a little shorter, so I'll probably cut them about here. So I want them to just go to about her knee. So this is going to go to the front. This is going to go up here, okay? These are going to go here, and then her little laces are going to lace up the sides. And I made it a little bit smaller than I was hoping, but I am going to be wrapping them in fabric, so it's going to make up for it. So in using this pattern, I'm going to then transfer it to here, and I'm going to cut the same pattern. My scraps over here. Okay, and I'm gonna cut there. Make sure that is as straight as you can get it. Gonna roundabout cut here, cut here, and I'm gonna cut here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna attach the lines. So there to there, and from there to there. Oops, didn't cut down low enough. There it goes. Okay, so I have two identical pieces, like so. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna cover these with the black fabric that I used for Ken's shoes. I thought this might be helpful. I glued this to this piece, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold, you know, not all the way, like I'll probably cut that away, but I'll probably glue along this edge and fold the piece in, and glue along this edge and fold this piece in, and glue along this edge and fold this piece in, and then cut away the extra fabric. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all the way here, and I'm going to fold this piece over, and I'm going to cover this piece separately. Alright, so I finished covering this part. So this is going to go around here, like so, and become her boot. So before I do that, I have to glue this bottom piece to this. Now it's going to be slightly bigger, but that's okay. I just need it to be able to mostly get around. So I'm going to just put a dab here, because I know that this is the middle. I'm going to put that felt piece right there and hold it. Just want that to dry right to there, and I want to do the same thing with this piece of felt as well. Barbie's like ready to try on her shoe. Elsa's like, please, please put the shoe on. The shoe fits. Just be careful not to get your doll with the glue gun. That would not be good. They're almost there. They're so close. I don't want to glue it too fast because I want to make sure that as I'm gluing along the sides that it's curing to this piece, and also that it's gonna be shaped properly. So that's the reason that I'm not rushing it and trying to pull it all the way around, because this is a very, very sturdy, thick piece right now. So it's going to be hard for me to mold it around if I try to do it fast and then try to hold it. Like, I'd need clamps and everything. So that's why I'm doing it in small pieces like this. Alright, that piece looks cured. So I'm gonna take my glue gun, and I'm gonna go right about there, and I'm just gonna kind of roll that piece. I'll show you what I mean in a second. Just need to get it to hold. Okay, so you see along the bottom, what I did was I just kind of rolled it so that it would hit there. So I'm gonna do the same on the other side. So the same over here. It's gonna be tricky, but if you have patience, you can do it. I know you can. Just gotta hold it until that glue dries because you don't want it to pop open too quick. Because then you'll have to re-glue it again, there'll be a big mess, you know. It's a whole bunch of stuff. A whole bunch of stuff that goes with it. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the back together. But I'm gonna attach the bottom first. So I'm gonna complete the bottom. Now, doesn't fully have to touch there, but it has to come pretty close. So like, I would say try to bond it so that it's as close as it can be. Method, which is try not to burn yourself. Okay. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna combine the back two pieces together. But before that, make sure that that glue is dry because I could feel right now that it's not. So I'm gonna stay here for just another minute or so. So next, I'm gonna combine these two pieces. So I'm just gonna put a pat of glue all the way up, very as light as possible. Don't want to go too crazy with the glue. I want to go just crazy enough with it. Okay. Want to hold it until it cures, until it dries or, you know, bonds. It's a long process, but it's worth the wait. Okay. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to put a piece of fabric over this. I probably should go on the inside, but I really don't want to go on the inside. And the reason being is I want her foot to be able to still fit in there, you know? So I'm really only gonna cover this line. Alright, so I have two scrappy pieces of fabric. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna fold it in glue, fold it in glue, and that will cover this glue piece. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna kind of push that down the middle. You can always cut off the excess. So I'm gonna fold this one down like so, being very gentle not to burn myself. Okay. That is, and then I'm gonna put another small bead all the way to where I feel like it might go, and then I'm gonna fold that over like so. And any extra piece that looks a little off, you just kind of snip it without cutting into your glue or without cutting into anything else. So it was just really those pieces that were bothering me, because when you look at it that way, you're never going to see it anyway. And so here we go. So I'm going to glue this to here like this. And I'm going to wrap just a little tiny bit down into the other part, like inside. And then I'm going to snip the bottom. So that's how I'm going to attempt to do this. I'm actually going to lay it down on it. Okay. So I'm going to glue that. And I'm going to position this down like so. And I'm just going to let that cure just like that. Just hoping that I got most of it. Gonna have to live with that detail. Or will I? Hold on. You know what? It's just dry enough. I'm gonna see if I could fix this. Don't need much. Only need a little. Just gonna try to spread it. Because the whole point is really to cover that glue spot, or the original glue spot. It might not be perfect, and that's okay, but something. Makes it look a tiny bit more finished. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip the top here, put a little bit more glue right here. I'm going to fold that in to the top, and then I'm going to let that cure. Okay. Gonna slip the bottom. And just let that cure. Okay, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing to that shoe that I did to this shoe. So I've completed the gluing process with the shoes. So I glued all along, you know, attaching the pieces, and then I glued the one piece up the back. It wasn't perfect. I didn't do it perfectly, but you know what? It's close enough. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a finishing touch around the bottom, which is I'm gonna use the same thing that I used for Ken's boot. I'm gonna use for Barbie's boot. So I'm just gonna wrap it all the way around like so. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue all the way around, but I'm gonna start in the front and then end in the back. So here goes. So I'm gluing right in the front. cure. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring that glue around. There we go. So I'm just gonna very gently attach it on one side and hold, and I will attach it on this side very carefully. Hold. Alright, so I put the rim around these shoes, so I glued them all the way around. Kind of went a little crazy with the glue, so it kind of is just going to exist and show there forever. Now, what I did was I took this piece of oak tag, colored both sides of it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these shoes to this oak tag, and that's going to act as the bottom part to the shoe. So see, they're kind of unfinished and they look all rough. This is going to make them look smooth. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take some glue. I'm going to glue the bottom of the shoe like so, and I'm going to attach it right to that piece. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with this. I'm going to take that glue to the bottom of the shoe, and I'm going to put it right down. Okay, so the glue should be mostly dry. What I'm doing is I'm going to just cut away this excess. Okay. And I'm going to just ever so gently cut as smoothly as I can around the shoe. I should have done this with Ken's shoe, but I really wasn't thinking about it, and as you make things, you make mistakes and you learn from them. So that's what I learned from that. With Ken's shoe, I should have done that and then done this part. So now she's got a finished bottom to her shoe. I'm going to repeat that on this. And see? There we go. Okay. Next step is going back to the string that I use on everything. That I don't know where I got it, I just know I have a lot of it. So I'm just going to kind of measure out a lot of string. I'm going to thread it to my needle, and I don't need too much to come through as of yet. So I'm not sure how much I'll need, but what I want to do is I want to basically get as close as I can to the bottom. Okay, and I'm gonna pull that piece loose. Okay, you hold that. Then I'm gonna pull more, because this needs to go up the other side. So this should work. So I'm gonna cut that. Gonna loop this through. Hazards of working with glue, things just tend to stick to you. Okay. So then I'm gonna take this piece and I'm gonna go on the outer part through here, and I'm gonna bring that whole piece through. Alright, so then I'm gonna go tough when you're pushing it through the felt, but you can do it. I know you can. And if you need help, what you do is you take a thimble and you push. You push, push, push till you could pull. Okay, then I'm gonna make another hole here. That looks about right. Okay, then I'm gonna make another hole here. That looks about right. And another one here. Oops. Just like really looking to get into these shoes. Okay, and another one here. Come on. You know you wanna. Need my thimble. That'll help me push it through. There it goes. Okay. You know what happened? It got stuck on the other one. Hold on. That's what happened. It got stuck on the other string. No, don't get stuck in there. Please don't get stuck in there. Alright. So, as you could see, it is tedious. Tedious work. Come on. My thimble. Alright. This is really hard. The felt is really, really tough to put a needle through. But you can do it. I know you can. Alright, now that's all I'm going to do of that side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle off and I'm going to loop the other one, the other side. So I'm just going to take that piece, go through, and I'm going to go up the other side. So using your best judgment as to where the holes are. Okay. Keeping that other string separate. So I've got that one. Go through that one. This is harder than I thought it would be. Which is probably why I haven't attempted to make shoes since the first time attempting to make shoes. I was feeling ambitious. I wanted you all to see my method. Might not be the right way, but it is a way, and it's not the cleanest, and that's mainly because I am an amateur at this. So I really don't know what I'm doing, and I am totally fine with that. And I want you to be okay with that too. If you're trying something new, to just go with it. Try it. Learn from it. You know? If you want to make stuff for your doll, do it. There's plenty of resources to show you, but there are a lot of videos that make it look so easy. And you know what? Sometimes it's just not. It's not the easiest thing, and that's why I wanted to show you my attempt on making this, because it really isn't as easy as I thought it would be. But it's worth it because it looks really, really cool. So I want to encourage you to show you that you can do it. So if I could do it, you can do it. There it goes. And 5 million years later, I have finished. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tug a little on each of these so that it kind of tightens the boot a little bit. It's going to take a little while. I want to keep it wide enough to put our foot in without having to lace it, but I want it close enough where it's snug. I'm showing you this lacing part because I know you could do it, and I want to encourage you to do it. It's tedious, but it's worth it in the end. Oh, I really made a mess of this one. Alright, so just gotta pull that there. I'm gonna pull that there, like that. Pull that there, that there. Where was this one? Okay, there it is. Alright, so got that. Now is the moment of truth. Will her foot fit in? Will this fit her? I hope it does. Alright, and it does. It fits her like a glove. She's in. Let's see. I'm gonna tie her shoe like so. Same way I tied Ken's or Evan's.